All right. So this is part two of the last video that I made, cost benefit analysis. So again, we're talking about choice of consumption or the choice of production of good. Okay, I want you to consider a good A. Then you start talking about everyday individuals choose to consume quantities of good A, and everyday firms choose to produce quantities of good A. In this example, I'm using good A as a generic name that can represent many types of goods and services. Externalities caused by good A. Externalities occur when one person's actions affect another person's well-being, and the relevant costs and benefits are not reflected in market prices. So, in other words, my choice of either producing or consuming good A affects others around me. Externalities can either be positive or negative. Okay, in this example, there are none in this case of externalities because picture marginal cost equals marginal social cost. So there's no additional cost here. And marginal social benefit equals marginal private. So social cost in itself is equal to private cost plus external cost. In this example, there are no external costs. There are no external costs. This is the quantity chosen here. There are no external benefits. So this is the case where choice of quantity A has no negative or positive externalities. Now moving on, we're going to talk about a negative externality example. This is where social costs is greater than private costs. Okay, in a negative externality, you notice that we have to begin with supply equals marginal private cost equals marginal social cost to begin with, and the demand equals the marginal private benefit equal to marginal social benefit. Now, with a negative externality, the first thing that disappears is the social cost there, and it will reappear in this graph with the new supply curve. Q naught is the original quantity of good A that was chosen at a specific cost, P naught. Now, this new Q1 is the quantity that the least is going down from Q naught to Q1. Society wants less quantity at this higher price. So basically, where marginal social cost is equal to the demand. Okay, the area, the height there between the quantity and what the new level of cost is called the external cost. And I will define more in a little bit what external costs are. In other words, we choose this quantity Q naught of a specific good. This is the external cost associated with that to society and not to private producer. Okay. Now, this is a negative externality in terms of benefits. The last was in terms of cost. Now, in this example, we start with marginal private benefit equal to marginal social, but after we consider the cost, the external cost and external benefit, this picture changes. Once again, the marginal social benefit is more than the private benefit. So this area right here is called the external benefit. Okay, notice because of the external benefit, the private benefit is smaller than social benefit, which means that there's external benefit there, and since the market is not achieving that, market wants not Q naught but Q1. So we again have externality, not the under. Is this one is the underproduction? All right. So now, to illustrate this, I've taken an old exam paper from the GCSE exam paper, and we're talking about defining market failure, how governments might interact. And the question begins as in January and February 2014, there were calls for the UK government to build more flood defences. Homes, factories, and other resources were damaged and some destroyed by floods. It was argued that government intervention was needed in case evidence of market. So the first question for 2 points asks us, what is market failure? To get these 2 points, the first thing we need to do is define market failure. Another point, I guess, to explain. But here, all we have to do is define market failure. So that's pretty easy. So in the case of market failure is where the market forces of demand and supply do not achieve efficiency, negative externalities. And another caveat is when social costs are greater than social benefits. All right, so moving on to part B of that question, it asks us to explain how government regulation may reduce market. In this case, the government has a difficult decision either to intervene or not into the market. The government must quantify external costs and external benefits and correctly identify the social costs. This isn't easy. This is no easy task because the social costs are to the entire society. Your mom, your dad, your friends, the people you shake hands with, people you talk to, strangers that you haven't talked to before. The external cost and the external benefit involve all of them within the economy, our city, or even a whole country. So these are not something that are easily defined. But the government will try in the case of if they're experiencing, think they're experiencing market failure. All right. So here I'm gonna show you the market failure where social cost is greater than social benefit, and I'm sticking with the quantity of good A, the cost of good A, and the benefit of good A, and the quantity of good A. And we start out with a quantity, 300 units of good A, and the cost is 200. Like I said, the cost that I chose here in 200 for a quantity of 300 is basically my best guess at the supply and demand cost and quantity in the economy. It's my estimate. It's not easy just to define. And also here the benefits, 300. So the benefit good for 300 units is 100. Okay. So then first comes the demand, comes the supply, and as you can see here, in both cases, we have a situation where at 300 units, there is a cost associated here, the external cost. And here, again, the government is estimating what the external cost is. It's not an easy or accurate process at all times. So here, you can see the external cost is different from 500 to 200. So the external cost is 3. Okay, here, we're going to talk about the external benefit, which is the difference. At 300 units, the benefit is, for the private benefit, is 300, and the social benefit is 400. So the total external benefit is 300. So now we want to see if this condition holds. Social costs are greater than social benefit. Okay, so we do the calculations, and that is here. So the social cost is equal to the private cost. Okay, the private cost, which is 300. So again, the private cost in this example is 200 here, 200 goes here. Private cost to 200. External cost is this height here. So that's 500 minus 200. And then this is 200 plus 5. Now we go over here to the benefit side. The private benefit is at the quantity of 300 units. The benefit is 100 plus the external benefit is the area in between here. So that is 300. So the social benefit equals 400 and the social cost equals 500. So social cost is greater than social benefit. That means it's a negative externality. That's how we compare it again. So to answer question B, how explain how the government regulation may reduce market failure. Government regulation may reduce market failure if the government correctly benefits and the government must provide an effective tax equal to the external cost of production of the good causing market failure. So, in other words, the external cost here is 300. The tax should be 300 to force this supply curve to shift to the left, and then the optimal amount of quantity will be produced 200. But it all begins with identifying external costs equal tax this supply curve 300, the height of the cost. The supply curve will shift to the left, creating a new equilibrium here 200. I think this question C analyzed the effect of a decrease in resources of government economics. A little bit self-explanatory, but these are 6 points for this answer. You could get 6 points for talking about any six of these. Cost push inflation we haven't discussed yet in class, but we will in the future. Exports, imports, but we have not those yet. But fewer resources is something. And economic growth is about the economy getting more income uh, from working and producing goods and services. But most of the stuff we'll talk about in the future. But economic growth means people get more income, so the demand shifts out with income. Income increases, the demand will shift outwards. All right. My favorite question on this paper is discuss whether the social benefits of building flood defenses exceed the social cost. This is an 8 point answer, and they use the word discuss. So you're expected to discuss both sides, meaning on one hand, and then you say we should, and on the other hand, we should not. So in this case, discuss whether social benefits of building flood defenses exceed the social cost involved. So a flood means the water comes in from the river, sea. The water after a storm comes in, it destroys it. It it hits, comes in from the river, sea. So what they want to do is build a flood defense to stop it. Now, will this exceed the social cost? Will the benefits of building this flood defense to stop the flood, will that exceed the social cost? All right, so we need two sides of the argument. On one hand, this condition may be true if social benefits are greater than social costs. On the other hand, this condition may be true if social benefits are smaller than social costs. So we need to talk about the two sides. On one hand, A, on the other hand, discussing two sides. Social benefits. So one side, social benefits is small, greater than social costs. So let's start there. All right. I'm using an example here. The question is talking about government intervention in general, but I'm going to use an example here to show you when the government may intercede or may not. So this time we're going to talk about the quantity of nuclear power plants in this example. All right. Notice that we are talking about the cost benefit analysis of 300 nuclear power plants being built. What is the cost? What is the comparison of cost? And what is the 300 nuclear power plants in terms of benefit? So we're comparing cost. So when we add the supply curve, we see that the social costs are higher than the private costs, and we need to know how much. And the private benefit and the social benefit are different. The social benefit is higher than the private benefit. All right. Now, in this example, the again, the external cost is 300, let's say in the billions, and the private costs are 200, and the private benefit is 100, and the social benefit is 400. So the external benefit is 300. Now we need to do more definitions of what these external benefits are and external costs are. So the external costs in this example, uh, the first example, I'm saying that external benefits are equal to uh, the external benefit is to the society. So that's cheaper power plus increased salaries, sustained energy. These are the external benefits to society for producing 300 nuclear power plants. So these are examples of external benefits to society: cheaper power, increased salaries, and sustained energy. That puts this up higher. External benefit. The private benefit, this area here, 100, are like greater revenues that the firms enjoy from producing this new product, the market, and we consider that 100 million. Okay, so if we add the social benefits together, private benefit plus external benefit, we get 100 plus 300 is 400. So the social costs are here. You can see those four. That's 500 million. So private costs include this 200 million. That include the cost of land, raw material, land, labor, capital to put that 300 properties together. That's 200. The external costs are the pollution that could happen from a nuclear power and destruction of habitat to build it. So we add those together, private costs, then you get 500. And in the end, we compare social costs greater than social benefit based on this analysis. Okay, in this example, the next side, so that's on one side, on one hand, that's in those conditions, social costs are a different relationship to the social benefit. Now, this is the other hand. On the other hand, social costs could be smaller than social benefit, and that's under these conditions. So all I've done is I've taken this graph here, and I've changed the benefit. The benefit could be higher or lower depending on the situation. So on the other hand, the benefits could be higher than the social costs, and you see that here. So the private benefit of these same 300 nuclear power plants are not the benefits of the last slide. Now there are 450 in new revenues. Not new revenues. What I mean is it could be either a smaller revenue or it could be a bigger revenue depending on where and how you produce the power plants. So in this example, the revenues are greater than the slide previous. And the external benefits are cheaper power and increased salaries. So the sustained energy are now a little bit more beneficial. So this is 500. It's this area external benefits. These are examples of external. So the net social benefit, private benefits plus external benefits, is 450 plus 500. That's 950 million. And the social costs, I left them the same. So that's equal 500. So in this example, so in this case, social cost is smaller than social benefit. So to answer this question, discuss whether social benefits of building flood defenses will exceed the social costs involved. You have to look at the two sides. On one hand, it may be true that social benefits are greater than social costs, depending on the value of private benefits and external. Or on the other hand, it is possible that social are smaller than social social costs. Okay, so these are and what tells that is you just look at the external benefits and the external costs, and you compare these depending on what external benefit, external costs. That will tell you whether the social benefits of building flood exceed